Season 8 of The Walking Dead is finally underway. This season follows All Out War, a 12-issue arc in the comics that can now be found in volumes 20 and 21. But what similarities and differences did we see between the first episode and the parallel arc from the books? Well, look no further, Skybounders, because this season we're bringing you a weekly dose of all the ways in which the two compare. So grab your walker-killing weapon of choice, get your savior compound takedown plans, and consider this moment right here your full-out spoiler warning. Seriously, we're pulling no punches across both mediums. I'm Mike Cruz, and welcome to The Walking Dead Season 8, Episode 1's Panel to Screen. The Season 8 premiere, entitled Mercy, follows Rick and his group along with the Kingdom and Hilltop, as they band together to bring the fight to Negan and the Saviors. The episode was written by Scott Gimple, directed by Greg Nicotero, and sticks fairly close to some of the events that went down in the source material. Comic Book Rick and the gang did attack the Sanctuary, they did call out Negan and his generals to ask them one last time to surrender, and they did implement a plan to lead a horde of the undead to the Savior's doorstep to trap Negan inside so they could then split up and take down his compounds. Despite all the similarities, the episode did include a long-anticipated sequence featuring Old Man Rick from the trailer that premiered at San Diego Comic-Con, which sparked a lot of questions from fans. While the episode didn't answer if this vision is real or a dream, and Rick doesn't experience any strange flash-forward-like dreams in the comics, there is a time jump following the events of All Out War. In fact, the town fair Rick and Michonne mentioned in the show actually does take place past that time jump. The flash forward occurs in issue 127, and the fair, which they're preparing for over the course of a few issues, finally occurs in issue 142. If the dream does in fact turn out to be this comic book flash forward, then the upcoming time jump might leap a lot further in the future than the comics. Then again, they could be relying on the fact that we know that to surprise us with something none of us expect. Only time will tell. Before we get to our next difference, I'm going to hit pause for a quick note for those of you that may not know. In the comics, Andrea is still alive at this point, and in a romantic relationship with Rick. While it seems like a lot of Andrea's personality and storylines have been taken up by Sasha in earlier seasons, as of season 7, much of Andrea has been attributed to Michonne in the show. Being the group sniper, the bell tower fight, and the hanky-panky with Rick, that's all Andrea on the page and now Michonne on the screen. Moving on, in both the comic and the show, Rick bids farewell to his family, which doesn't include Andrea but includes Michonne, neither of which can go because they're all banged up from the bell tower fight. They also both prop up Carl as a growing leader in the community.
This is your show.
Rick then checks up with Ezekiel and Jesus and heads off to the Sanctuary. This lead up and preparation takes a lot less time in the book, where the show draws it out and gives each major character some decent screen time. The scenes with Carl scavenging around the gas station and interacting with a starving survivor did not happen in the comics. However, it was a great homage to his father Rick from the pilot episode. As you can see, the scene with Carl very closely mirrors the scene from The Walking Dead pilot. Both are on their own, scavenging for gas, and are faced with a potentially dangerous visitor. In the comics, Daryl and Tara don't exist, and Carol and Morgan are long dead. So this side mission to divert walkers to the Sanctuary definitely did not happen the same way as it did on the screen. In the comics, just as in the show, Rick instructs his people to shoot at the windows and make a cacophony to lure the undead right to the Sanctuary. That is enough to draw the hordes of walkers in the area to the location and carry out the plan. The explosion-filled lead-up is not included. The decked-out rammer RV in the show is mirrored by Holly, who rams her truck into the Sanctuary fence to help the walkers get in. But instead of Father Gabriel getting trapped with Negan at the end of this battle, stuck with the Saviors in their compound to await who knows what fate, Holly ends up captured, which eventually leads to the fateful exchange we saw with Sasha take place at the end of last season. I get it, that's confusing, but basically the scene with Sasha that kicks off All Out War on the show is a scene with Holly in the comics that starts with this attack on the Sanctuary and ends in the same way, but later on, more towards the middle of All Out War. That iconic scene in the comics of Rick and his allies arriving at Negan's doorstep, shooting guns over the heads, played out almost identically to the show. In both cases, Rick tells Negan they don't have to go to war, and there's still time to surrender.
Y'all can live if you surrender.
The biggest difference being that in the comics, Rick's army doesn't seek any kind of protection, while in the show, they ingeniously build armor onto the cars and hide behind them so as not to get shot. Both comic and show, Negan is amused by Rick's threats and even considers allowing it just to see how it plays out. But then, he throws this curveball.
The hilltop stands with Negan and the Saviors.
Negan's grand plan to use Gregory to lure the Hilltop to his side fails miserably in both the comic and the show. After realizing no one cares about Gregory and he won't gain any new followers, Negan is just as done with him as everyone else. However, there are some minor differences. First off, in the comics, 8 people from the hilltop actually step forward and renounce the war, whereas 0 did on the show. Secondly, Negan kicks Gregory off the balcony in the book, where it was Simon who did it on the show. Regardless, no love is lost between Gregory and practically anyone else. In both instances, Jesus' loyalty was to Rick and Alexandria. But that cheer-worthy moment where he yells, "The hilltop stands with Maggie," is exclusively on the show. In both mediums, Negan is enraged his plan fell through. In both instances, Rick and his people take cover behind their vehicles and shoot at the Saviors. Rick's group overwhelms the Saviors and forces them to retreat. But again, some minor differences. In the show, Rick tries to risk his life to kill Negan, only to be held back by Father Gabriel, which does not happen in the comics. Negan is then forced to hold up in a trailer where he then captures Father Gabriel, whereas in the comics, Negan finds refuge in the sanctuary where, as mentioned before, he takes Holly prisoner. Winding down the first battle of All Out War, Negan and the Saviors are surrounded by walkers, and Rick and his crew leaves to execute the next stage of their plan. On the show, Rick tells his people,
"You've already won!"
But in the comics, Rick says, "This is no time for celebration. The war has only just begun." Both serve the same function of preparing the team for a larger war that is to come, but with a very different emotional approach. Anyway, that's all for us now, folks. Season 8 rages on every Sunday on AMC, but be sure to come back as we continue to keep a close eye on how the show and the comic compare to each other. I hope you're geared up for episode 2, where it looks like we'll see the teams take on a few different savior groups in an attempt to dismantle Negan's network of compounds. Like this video if you'd like to see more of Panel to Screen. Make sure to subscribe to Skybound and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Let us know in the comments if you caught anything we missed, and catch up on the previous seasons of The Walking Dead with the Skybound Rundown. Get ready, folks. There's a lot of apocalyptic war to come. See you next time.